Today in tech news, we've got Quake Champions coming to Vulkan, and the RX 500 series has been spotted online, as well as leaks from one of the upcoming Ryzen 3 CPUs. Stay tuned. Welcome back to GamerMeld. Similar to Doom, it looks like ID Software will be supporting the Vulkan API in their upcoming title Quake Champions. Here's the thing though, according to Tech PowerUp, they could be working with AMD to make this optimized for Ryzen. Now, the source goes back to a German website at pcgameshardware.de. When reading it with Google Translate, it seems something like AMD is giving them the go-ahead to show the game before the closed beta at the ASUS's ROG Day. There is something it seems lost in translation, but that's what I gathered. I'll leave a link in the description if any German speakers would be interested in making sure I got that right. Either way, that shows AMD is working extremely close with Bethesda. Of course, some commenters on Tech PowerUp have issues with the idea of games only being optimized for one company. More the GPU than CPU, of course, but with Vega coming out, they could be working on optimization for that as well. I will say that this has happened in the past, but I don't know, AMD clearly has to do something to get a foothold in the market and have well-optimized games for their platform, but it certainly wouldn't be wise for Bethesda to not at all develop for Intel, and of course, there's no way they're doing that. If anything, it would be a little more care on AMD's side. Really, I'd argue had one company not paid them, neither would have gotten more optimization. Basically, sure, if this is true, AMD paid money for Bethesda to develop more on their platform, but that doesn't mean they developed any less for Intel or Nvidia. With that said, it's been known to at least somewhat happen in the past, so only time will tell. Before I get to the next segment, what do you think? Do you think it could be a slippery slope or just some great news as more AMD optimized games will be coming? Let me know in the comments below. Next up is another pretty big deal. An online retailer seems to have jumped the gun on the rumored upcoming AMD graphics cards, the RX 500, by showing a full line of cards from a 2GB RX 550 to the 8GB RX 580. So far, Asus, MSI, and Sapphire cards have all been leaked. There isn't much information on them, but the Sapphire cards at least have a nice I/O, with the higher tier models running with 2 HDMI ports, 2 display ports, as well as a DVI port, which is something the latest high-end batch of GPUs seem bent on doing away with, as the display port takes over, of course. The most interesting though is an April 10th release date, which is pretty well what was rumored, so if you're gearing up for a new GPU, I'd hold off just a little. Lastly, ComputerBase.de originally found, with video cards also reporting that ASRock is showing support for Ryzen 3, specifically the 1200 model. We aren't given much information but the basics. The clock speed is running at 3.1 GHz, it's got 2 MB cache and a TDP of 65 watts. Ryzen 3 isn't to launch until the second half of the year, but it just might end up being some really great budget cards. What do you think though? So that does it for today, but before I go, don't forget the giveaway. It's international and there's multiple chances to win. Just subscribe and click the link in the description. Also, I should be having some product reviews coming in the next week or so make sure you subscribe to stay updated. That does it for now. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe by clicking on the round icon in the middle. You can check out the most recent video and suggested video to the left. Thanks so much for coming, and as always, have a great day.